Now we're on to the ACC. We are going to start like we did with the last conference. Rod, hit us off.
All right, so top two. I mean, pretty generic, but I have Clemson as the number two team going 10-2. And then I have them losing to Florida State in the ACC championship. So that would be Florida State beating Clemson twice, which I know is kind of a tall order, but I think it could definitely happen. And then I have Florida State going 12-0. I think they're going to beat LSU week one, and similar to Texas, just ride that momentum throughout the year.
I know you're high on Florida State this year. You've been big on them for most of the offseason. I've also got them winning the ACC at 11-1. I think they're going to drop to LSU and then just run riot the rest of the year. 8-0 in conference. Second place in the ACC, playing them in the ACC championship. The Duke Blue Devils at 10-2, 7-1 in the conference. I think they're going to surprise everyone this year. Riley Leonard, we'll talk more about him later. I think he's going to be a beast. I'm definitely a little bit biased because he's from Fairhope, but that's besides the point. I think Duke is going to be very good this year. They're going to start the season off right, beating Clemson week one in Durham, and just ride that out.
I love it. The Duke hype. I have them doing well too, but not. The schedule's just a gauntlet. So, I mean, they will dictate. They have a chance to dictate how the whole conference plays out because they're one of the few teams that actually plays all the contenders pretty much. So my number one team is Clemson going 10-2. Their only conference loss is to Duke week one. And then they ride the wave all the way through the season and drop one at South Carolina, the last game of the season. And then at 2, I got Florida State going 11-1, 7-1 in conference with their loss, obviously being to Clemson. But then in the conference title, Florida State gets them, and they're sitting there somewhere around that 5, 6, or 4, fighting for that last spot, maybe hoping someone else loses. But that's where I got them.
Yeah, so we're all in consensus that Florida State will be a player at the end of the year in the playoff picture, and win the ACC championship. That's a popular opinion in college football. I think across the board, everyone's very high on the Noles and Norvell. So a lot of hype around them. We'll see. Preseason predictions never tend to really pan out the way you think they are going to. So we'll see how Florida State does. A team that I think is pretty polarizing and interesting in the ACC, North Carolina. How do y'all have them doing this year?
Okay, so I actually think North Carolina is going to be not very good. They had one of their guys who was going to probably be one of Drake May's top targets get his eligibility denied by the NCAA. They lost Josh Downs. The offense is going to take a step back, not because of Drake May, just because they don't have as many weapons. But I still have them going 9-3 because when you really dig into their schedule, it is insanely easy, like insanely easy.
Yeah.
I got the Tar Heels and Mac Brown going 7-5. I think this is going to be a Sam Howell final year kind of thing for Drake May. Just all the hype coming in of that specific player is just not going to pan out like the reasons you listed. And hopefully that kid does somehow get his waiver turned around before the season starts. That would be cool to see. He deserves to play. But I got them starting 2-2. I have them losing to South Carolina week 1 and then dropping the Pitt game week 4. And then losing their last 3 games of the season, losing to Duke, then Clemson. I mean, their last 2 games are at Clemson, at North Carolina State. That's a brutal finish.
Yeah, I've got them at 8-4, dropping South Carolina, running the table until they get to Duke, and dropping Duke, Clemson, NC State. So they're going to ride the easy wave of their schedule, dominate a lot of the weaker teams in the ACC. But when it comes to the upper tier teams, I think they're going to get beat. And it's going to be kind of a disappointing end of the season for a team that's probably ranked. And, if they start out, 9-1 or 8-1, they're going to be in, the top 15. And then just drop out and kind of just
cliff
fade away.
Yeah.
So a very enticing one. Cristobal down in Coral Gables, where we got Miami.
6-6 is my prediction. I don't think they have the horses or the egrets, whatever that little bird is that Miami has. they don't have him, not yet. And I'm not sure if Cristobal is the guy to have Miami return to greatness, despite how well they're recruiting right now. But recruits don't matter this year.
Yeah, I got Miami at 7-5, so just above 500. Cristobal, everyone in the country knows he's one of the best recruiters, but man, even at his time at Oregon, he just could not win the games he was supposed to win. And that Oregon program was certainly better than the Miami program he has right now.
Yeah.
It's in shambles. I've got them dropping. They're going to win the Miami Bowl. That's a fun one, week 1 against Miami of Ohio. Odd scheduling. It's on a Friday too, I think. I got them dropping to A&M week 2 and just losing to the teams that they're going to be not favored against, and it's just going to be another mid season for Miami.
So I got them at 8-4, and I have them beating A&M and starting 5-0. But then all the hype comes in. Miami, Cristobal, they're back, and then they drop 4 of their last 7. I have them losing back-to-back to UNC, Clemson. They beat Virginia because Virginia is just the worst team in the conference, and they lose back-to-back at NC State, at Florida State, and then they win the last 2. 8-4. So good year, but the way the season ends is going to be very disappointing and lead to questions.
Yeah, I can see that happening. There's a team in the ACC this year, not Duke, because I know we mentioned Duke has the ability to dictate how the conference plays out. There's a team in the ACC this year that I think is going to cause a lot of chaos, mostly due to the games that they have at home against some bigger teams. Do y'all know who I'm referencing?
Is it NC State?
It is NC State.
Yeah, they're very interesting. I mean, they're a lot better. I think they're going to be a lot better on the field than on paper.
They have Notre Dame at home week 2. They have Clemson at home week 9, Miami at home week 10, and North Carolina at home week 13.
Yeah, I mean, I got them going 9-3, finishing 3rd in the conference. I think this is going to be the year that, I mean, they had that good year 2 years ago when Leary was cooking, and then health problems still being an issue. But I think this is the year where they kind of cement themselves back into that upper echelon area. But it's not going to be enough with the way divisions work out, or no divisions anymore. And Clemson and Florida State will just be too much of a task for them. But still, for them going 9-3, a chance at a 10-win season. For North Carolina State, that's a big thing.
Yeah, I agree. I've got Notre Dame winning week 2, but that is a very interesting game.
If they win that game, they have a serious chance of being undefeated going into week 9 against Clemson.
Yeah.
At home.
No, that would be huge. And I mean, NC State, their environment at home is very, very underrated. If you remember the last time when they beat Clemson 2 years ago, that place was absolutely like just rocking. So if they're good, they have a crazy environment against Notre Dame, get that win, and then go into, I mean, if they go into the Clemson game even with 2 losses, that's a massive game. One that I could see Clemson definitely slipping up there.
Agreed.
So a big team that people talk about, one of the easiest Power 5 schedules. A lot of people having them making that jump, coaching change, coming back home. You got Louisville. Where do we have them slotted within the ACC?
I've got them smack in the middle, 6-6, 4-4 in the conference. Just a completely 500 team.
I've got them 8-4, 6-2 in the conference.
I got them at 7-5, 5-3, and I've seen I've been looking at like people who do their own power rankings and stuff and play out the season. And Louisville fans, I think that all the talk about kind of hyping them up, they're kind of the dark horse for a lot of people in the ACC. It's their dark horse. And I can't see it just because of some of the away games they have. And you got to realize they still have Kentucky as well on the schedule. And that's all it really has not gone their way recently in that rivalry. So I got them 7-5, 5-3 at finishing 5th, which isn't bad. But I mean, I just don't see that. There's people realistically saying they're going to get to 10 wins, but it's so much harder than people think to get to 10 wins. It's just been completely overblown with these elite programs that we have seen now in our lifetimes that have a lot of the past has never really operated the way it is now with some of these elite programs. People think 10-win seasons are easier than they actually are. like Clemson consistently getting bashed the past few years with Dabo. They're still winning 10 games like that. For Clemson, that is a good thing. Obviously, they're looked at differently with their past success, but 10-win season, Louisville, I can't see it. Unless
No.
Lamar Jackson comes back and plays for him, but with that's not happening.
No, I've got them starting off 5-0, but when they get to the middle of their schedule, it's going to be a real rude awakening for them. You got Notre Dame.
That 3-game
Pitt.
stretch, though, North Carolina State, Notre Dame, and Pitt.
Yeah, North Carolina State, Notre Dame, Pitt, Duke. That's tough.
I got them stealing that one because they come off the bye week. So I got Louisville beating Duke.
I've got them upsetting NC State, or what I would assume will be an upset, and then just getting beat 3 weeks in a row.
If we had to pick one player from this conference to be a Heisman finalist, who would that be?
I can't give the answer I want to give right now.
I know who. Taking that out of it, who would it be?
Oh man,
because for me, I would say I just feel like the obvious pick is Jordan Travis.
Yeah, it is,
because there's not that many true, honestly, star players. I mean, you have Klubnik, but I mean, it's not popping like it's supposed to, I think, just because the way Clemson's kind of, like I was talking about, people have tapered them off in the media. The name's just not popping like it should. But Jordan Travis, the stock is just going through the roof.
Yeah, I think it's most likely to be Jordan Travis. But if North Carolina outperforms expectations, obviously Drake May,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he already is just people drool over him. I mean, I get it. He's insane. He's just
I mean,
just plays for North Carolina. That's just the reality of the situation.
I mean, in terms of like comps, he's similar to Herbert, and that guy threw it all over the place. So that's the thing.
I mean, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. It's just his team
is bad.
Reality.
Yeah.
I've got an oddball maybe for y'all. It's on the Heisman finalist on Florida State's roster, not named Jordan Travis. Trey Benson.
Very possible. He's arguably the best running back in the country.
If they are just able to grounded pound on teams, and he just racks up an insane amount of yardage this year. And I mean, it's hard on a situation like that where we all think Florida State's going to be one of the top 5 teams in the country, and you don't have the quarterback as the Heisman finalist from that team, just because the award tends to cater towards quarterbacks. And in that scenario, you assume that Jordan Travis is playing extremely well. But if they're just dominating in the run game, I could see Trey Benson.
Yeah. The only reason I don't think a Trey Benson Heisman finalist is possible is because Jordan Travis is a really good runner as well. So he's going to take away carries from Trey Benson. But it wouldn't shock me if they're that good. It would not shock me at all.